Well, hope everybody's had some time to calm down from Thursday. Happy Monday, Vikings fans. Hopefully you guys all had a great weekend and a stress-free Sunday, not having to worry about Vikings going out there and looking like absolute dog shit like they did on Thursday against the Chargers, falling to 3-4, unfortunately. And 3-4 doesn't sound that bad, but the way that we've gotten to 3-4, it's like, we got fans just hitting DEFCON 1 red alert button. And I get it. Right. There's a lot of things, winning covers up a lot of stuff. So when you start to lose, especially a team that's kind of used to winning under Kevin O'Connell, you do get a lot of stuff that just comes up and a lot more controversies and conspiracy stuff that kind of comes about. But at the end of the day, it just Thursday night was an absolute ass kicking. There's no other way around it. 37-10, and I think that score isn't even indicative of how bad this game was for the Vikings. Defense was Swiss cheese. Offense couldn't sustain drives, get the ball moving. Just pretty much a disaster all the way around as it comes to how this game went.
Yeah, and we talked about it on Bleacher Report afterwards, is that it might be the worst game that we've seen from the tenure of Kevin O'Connell as well as Brian Flores, just both sides of the ball, just coached everything. Obviously, we'll get into the Carson Wentz stuff later, but even just on top of like the handling of Carson Wentz that game, and then just offense not moving. Obviously, Carson Wentz is hurt, but was playing terrible, and he was kept out there. Even from that standpoint, wasn't good. And then on the defense, man, in no way should our defense crumble the way they did in this game, because even with, JJ McCarthy coming back, and I know, because we're different, we're not all these other fans who kind of, we're 3-4 right now, and then the season's automatically just ruined and over and anything like that. We're kind of on the side of, JJ McCarthy comes back, your team is going to be overall healthier. There's definitely more than a chance for this Vikings team to kind of turn things around, the 3-4, whatever. But you have to see what JJ McCarthy is and if he can even do anything like that. So I think we're a little bit more optimistic on the future of this season and things like that. But that's hard to be, I would say, seeing your defense. Like, the offense is one thing. It's just been a mess with the quarterback position so far, and Darisaw not playing, and Brian O'Neill and the offensive line and the injuries, But the defense side of things, you're just missing Andrew Van Ginkel. That's kind of it at this point. Yeah, I think he makes a big impact on this team. But moving forward, like, your team, I think someone posted something today, like we're in the 20th for points allowed. And I forgot what the other stat was. But even points allowed in the 20s or whatever, like 23rd in the NFL in points allowed on defense. And we've had some up and down games or whatever. But yeah, moving forward here, like, even if McCarthy comes in and he's the guy we all want him to be, kind of sucks that now we do have some real concerns about this defense a little bit, and it'd be interesting if they can kind of turn things around.
And I think, there's a lot of conversation too about the way that this team was built.
What up, T-Bass?
A lot of people that are Quasi people, a lot of people that aren't Quasi people. I've always been more pro Quasi, but you do see the cracks in the team building, especially specifically on that defensive side of the ball when you just aren't hitting on your draft picks. Relying on having to go out and get some top free agents to keep that defense competitive. Bring in Allen and Hargrave. I would say those two have been major disappointments so far. Isaiah Rodgers has obviously had his ups and downs, a 2-touchdown game, and then kind of got torched against the Eagles and will just kind of average his last game. Byron Murphy not living up to the contract we signed him to.
At least Isaiah, well, that's the thing, is Isaiah, I think he should have caught that.
Right.
I think he almost got a pick six right to start that.
But either way, though, the draft pick of Dallas Turner hasn't panned out so far. Allen and Grenard and Van Ginkel, when Van Ginkel has been healthy, have been good. But it's just, this is the issue with building a team the way that Quasi has specifically on the defense, is when you don't hit on your draft picks. And I think T-Bass mentioned it in the past too, with drafting, it's a lot of depth, and that's what this team doesn't have, right? You got Allen and Hargrave, who again have disappointed. Jalen Redmond has been our best defensive interior guy. No one else has really shown up yet. Linebacker wise, Cashman's made a difference, obviously. But it's just, this defense isn't very deep. And especially when you look at, and again, coming into the season, the issue the major concern people had was that defensive backfield, and the corners haven't lived up to expectations. Harrison Smith probably wishes he would have retired. I mean, with the whole whatever illness thing he had, he hasn't been what he normally is. Metellus has been average, and Theo Jackson has been basically non-existent. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's not a good look right now, especially specifically on the defense. And again, I've said it before. I just think that Flores, and I this might be a personnel issue as well, and maybe he knows that with how he's playing this defense. But I've always felt with him, it's like yes, he's got the big right hook with the blitzing, but when that doesn't work, he doesn't have a secondary move, and it's just kind of like there was one play where like the middle of the defense was wide open, and wouldn't you know it, Justin Herbert steps up into that and ends up scrambling for a first down. It's just. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and again, I'm not just dogging on the defense because the offense is doing the defense no favors by being unable to sustain drives for a myriad of reasons, whether it be injuries, whether it be play calling, inability to run the football, inability to convert on third and shorts, which we saw Kevin O'Connell with an absolutely disastrous 3rd and 1 call early in that game where he tried to use Jefferson as a decoy and it didn't work because Jefferson was the guy you threw to. It was just
3rd and 1.
Yeah, there's just been a lot of different things on both sides of the ball that haven't worked out. And I do think a lot of it can go back to personnel and just not developing the players that you're picking. And then trusting that these free agents are going to come in and make a difference when they just haven't at this point yet. And I don't know. I mean, it doesn't, and I think you mentioned this a couple weeks ago, this doesn't seem like something that you just kind of fix. It just kind of seems like something like the run defense. It seems like something you just deal with kind of throughout the rest of the season here.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing though, is we've had ups in like obviously since he's the easy one, but there's been points in the game. I mean, we still up to this point are like towards the bottom of the league of yards allowed outside of the Eagles game and this one. Break because of person no one give Ed. Yeah, don't give Brian Flores. I don't know. I'm sorry, but I don't think it's the same thing. Brian Flores has done way better with this defense than Ed Donatel even came close with. And at the end of the day, I still think, outside of the Eagles and the Chargers game, this defense was leading the NFL in the least receiving yards allowed. Like you can say a lot of things of what that might mean, and you can make excuses against it, But at the end of the day, you're allowing the least amount of receiving yards in the NFL. But
also the Chargers and the Eagles are the most talented offenses that you've played so far this season, which does need to be factored into it.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, obviously, the Bengals are talented, but with Jake Browning, that doesn't matter. The Bears, first game with new offensive coordinator guy.
Still, I mean, Eagles, but you got Ben. But it's still Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and Dunze. Like people keep saying that because it's their first game, okay, or. You got the Falcons. I mean, you can say what you want, but you still got Bijan Robinson, who's good in the pass game. You got Drake London, who some people were kind of seeing that like better what's it called? Like he was going to take the next step this year, and he kind of did it. He was injured last week or whatever. And then even with Jake Browning, yeah, he threw a lot of interceptions, but you still held like even no team was holding Chase Brown to under 50 or Jamar Chase under 50 yards, even with Browning. He played 3-4 games.
That was his first start this year.
What, with Jake Browning?
Yeah,
that was his. No, I mean in general he played like 3 or 4 games, and Jamar Chase wasn't held to under 50 yards or whatever we did against him. So that's the thing is like you can. I don't know that whole narrative like that's the only good team you've played. I don't know. You know me. I've
had my gripes with Flores defense.
Yeah.
Everyone they're wowed by the blitz, and then they're wowed by the blitz, and it was great coming from what we saw from Donatel. But again, when the blitz doesn't work, I've always felt like he's like surprise Pikachu face out there, and he's just like, I don't know what to do.
I don't know. I'm not as like that when it comes to Flores.
I know because you wanted him here because of the aggressive.
Yeah, but it's not even just
like the
that. It's just like it's up and downs, dude. Like. I get it. There's some personnels out there who have. It's just like how many. Like the good is better than the bad. The good is way better than the bad when it comes to Brian Flores to me. And maybe there's personnel issues, I guess. But it's like okay, he has this. Like he'll have 3 games in a row where we allow like 200 total yards on offense or less, and then all of a sudden he has one bad game where he gets beaten. and then the blitzing is too heavy and da 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 da, and it's easy to be like, see, this is what happens when Brian Flores brings too many people all the time. Other games.
But there's trends though. Like every year, it's just like there's something that he just doesn't fix.
But which defense does not have some sort of trend?
But he's never been great against defending against wide receivers wide open in the middle. Like we saw that last year. We're seeing it this year.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's perfect, but I am saying that overall, like I would say overall, like if anyone's saying like, oh, no, we got to get rid of Brian Flores when he's like completely made our defense for a full season better.
And I'm not saying that. I still think he's a good defensive coordinator, probably be a head coach soon again. I just think I don't want to say overrated. I just think he's overpraised sometimes by the fan base.
It could be fair. Yeah.
But again, I still and who knows if he had the players on defense that he actually wanted. Because again, like you said, throughout his career, there's a lot more good than there is bad. But this season, again, nothing's going well, and that's just why everything is under the microscope this year. And again, we'll talk about the offense as well, because I mean that's a big issue. I mean, the head coach / offensive coordinator hasn't done a good enough job putting his team in good positions. And the big reason why the defense, they're gassed by the end of these games, is because the offense can't sustain drives. And that's, again, multiple reasons why that's happening. Play calling, execution, injuries, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And I do think it's funny how, like, in O'Connell's last 2 press conferences, he said it like multiple times, like, you can look for all the excuses you want. Injuries, but we're not going to use those. But you could always look at those injuries, but we're not here for excuses. I'm like, you're kind of hinting at the excuses.
Well, that's why I was like, that's why I've came on here and I'm like, fuck y'all, and saying I can't have an excuse, because that's the thing, is like, that's what everybody wants to do. It's like, you can't, which I've said it before. It's like, I love the idea of like, hey, no excuses. Like, you just do da 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 da. I get it from that standpoint, but from like just simple logic, I'm like, how many injuries do you need to be like, okay, I think the injuries like kind of affect winning. Like you're just like, but no excuses. Like you're just like forcing the idea that you can't have like that. It's impossible that this many injuries is the reason why you're losing, because it's just an excuse. I get it. I like the idea of it most of the time, but I'm like, how many injuries do you want to be like, yeah, we're kind of we've been pretty kind of unlucky this season. It is what it is. That's what happens. Fantasy football, that happens too. Like, no excuses, but your fucking 3 best players hurt in fantasy football.
Or you lose Cam Scattergood.
Nobody uses. No, everybody has excuses. There's no excuses in fantasy football. Everybody has their excuses in fantasy football, and that's how that works. But that's the whole thing with Brian Flores. Like, I get it. Like, I think there's times where he pressures too much and it isn't good and it bites us in the ass. But he is a guy that's out there that I do think, like, long throughout the entire season, is going to put you in better places more often than not. And I feel the same way with Kevin O'Connell too, because of course Kevin O'Connell's going to have ups and downs, and he's going to have bad play calling. We've all seen it, but I do think at the end of the day, for a full season, and we have seen that throughout his head coaching career so far, that ultimately he puts us in more positions to win than lose. And that's obvious because he has much better winning record in comparison of losing. So,
yeah. And I think, and I do think another thing that does need to be, I forgot where my train. What's going on, man? We'll be on the lookout for that L tonight. Wolves without Ant, still getting it done. Anyway,
my phone directly. I use my phone for. I can look real quick. I use my phone for my camera, Mafia. I'll look really quick though.
But where was I? I had a thought. I totally spaced it. But either way, yeah, not a great game. I mean, 3-4 is what it is. Yeah, I guess we move on. I mean, a big divisional game in Detroit next Sunday. It's gonna be rough, but yeah. Any other thoughts before we move on to the big news of the day?
Sorry, Mafia. I saw it real quick after hop back on here, but it's something with Quasi and the draft things. Oh no, you're good, dude. You're good. Hold on 1 second here. I kind of messed it up. Yeah, just that game. I do get it. I'm not, I don't know. Nobody in this world is gonna tell me that the Vikings being 3-4 and about to get healthy means the season's already fucked. It ain't happening. I'm sorry. Especially because you had to get that shot in. Hell yeah.
I had to try.
The game, no. That's so funny. But yeah, I don't know. It's not gonna happen. I feel like you're being very like you can call me an optimist, but I feel like you're very pessimistic on the season in general. If you think being 3-4 when this team's going to get healthier, and automatically thinking that the season's over and all those kinds of things, because I just don't.
When for real, you could look at it as finally the season's just beginning because we do get our quarterback back. But the reason that he is undoubtedly the starter this Sunday against Detroit is because of the news of today. And it's a big. We'll get into this because there's a lot to break down.
Get into this. And T-Bass is going to. He's not going to get exactly what he wants out of us here. I know he's going to get some of it. He ain't going to get exactly what he wants here.
Right. So Carson Wentz on IR, shoulder injury. Reports came out today from all the big time guys that Carson Wentz, and yes and no, and we'll get into that. I think so. Look, come out today. Carson Wentz back first half of the London game, suffered a torn labrum from a dislocated shoulder that also ended up fracturing his shoulder socket. Was able to kind of manage the pain throughout time here, and now obviously he's got to have surgery on it. And from reports from today from Alec Lewis, they knew this was what was going to happen due to this injury, but it was all about how long could he manage the pain while they let JJ McCarthy rest on the sidelines. So look, it's a top to bottom thing, right? Because obviously at the end of the day, Kevin O'Connell, head coach, it's his decision on who plays, who doesn't. And he has always said when it comes to injuries, and again, coach, not doctor, two totally different things. 100%. And O'Connell has always said, he's like, I defer to the medical staff when making decisions on who plays and who doesn't, right? So and look, Carson Wentz, and I think Ben Lieber had a tweet earlier today that said he says 0% chance that Wentz was forced to go out there and play. All players play through injuries. I mean, the torn labrum thing, not even that big of a deal. I mean, it is a big deal, but Baker Mayfield played through a torn labrum years ago. It's like if it's your non-throwing shoulder, there's been a history of quarterbacks playing through that injury because you can, as long as you can manage the pain. So look, I look at this more of, and I text Jamie right after we heard about it, that this medical staff needs to be looked at here, because this team's dealt with injuries constantly, especially this season. But when it comes to the Carson Wentz thing, like, yes, at the end of the day, like Kevin O'Connell Thursday night after the first half should have been like, no, I don't care if I understand Carson wants to tough it out. I understand you want to play, but you got to get to the bench because this isn't good for you. You look rough out there. I mean, you're wincing at every play. You're almost in tears on the sideline. Like, eventually you got to make that decision to pull him out of the game. But I don't think all the blame should be immediately heaped on O'Connell. I mean, give him, that's another thing. People want to judge. Give him a chance to talk about it. Because, I mean, That's what this social media has done now. You just put baseless opinions out there without having everybody have an opportunity to talk. I say let O'Connell speak his piece. I understand he's probably going to coach speak it. But yes, at the end of the day, like, he needs to be the one that makes that final decision about who plays, who doesn't. In that scenario, Thursday night, he should have taken him out of the game. But you also got to think about this in a way of the medical staff kept clearing him to go out there. And Carson Wentz himself, even after the game, said there was never a point in time where I felt like, he's like, I was in pain. But there was never a point in time where I didn't feel like I could be out on the field playing. So, yes, you can blame O'Connell, and he does deserve blame in this. But to say it's a bad look for him, I'm not going to be 100% and be like, I think I saw SKOL State of Mind on Twitter say, this is how you lose a locker room. Like, I don't necessarily believe that, because everyone knew that the injury was. Carson Wentz knew what the injury was. He knew he was going to have surgery, and he still went out there and toughed it out. Now, yes, as a head coach, eventually your job, I got to protect the players from themselves, and especially in that Chargers game, you got to make that move. But I don't know. I do think it's a top-down issue, though, and it's just, I don't know. Is it a good look for the organization? No. Again, ton of respect for now that you know, ton of respect for Carson Wentz for going out there and suffering through it as long as he could.
Yeah.
But it sucks. But I think it's a little, and I think it's a little bit, people are making a little bit bigger of a deal out of this than it needs to be.
Yeah, especially, because no one's going to remember this. No one's going to remember this. Like, we're going to move on, because I'm with you on the fact that, because this is how I look at it. So I'm with you that Carson Wentz decided to play. He wanted to play. He has a lot on the line on his side of things. I mean, he's towards the end of the career. I mean, he literally had to get off the couch, or we got him off the couch because no other teams really wanted him for what he wanted, and he ends up coming to the Vikings as a backup. And he wants to do whatever he can to stay on that field. Of course, he knows that once he gets off the field, if he gets a season-ending injury, I mean, that could be his entire career. There's no doubt in my mind that Carson Wentz wanted to continue playing. Maybe even in that Thursday game, the other side of things, the medical thing, like if you're a head coach or if you're anybody, you're a head coach, like you said, he's not a doctor, he's not in the medical. If you're a head coach and medical people, what's going on, Sully? Medical people come up to you and tell you, hey, Carson Wentz is good to go. Which I'm with you. It feels like they should be in the most wrong here. And then Carson Wentz comes up to you, yeah, coach, I can play. I'm still good. And then your head coach is like, okay, you both said, the medical said he's checked out. Carson Wentz says he's good to go. I'm going to play him. And that's why up until the Thursday night game, I'm like, he's playing through. Like, I don't blame Kevin O'Connell at all going into that Thursday night game as far as playing him. The medical people told him he was good. Carson Wentz is telling him he can play. What else are you going to, as a head coach, that's got to happen that's happened probably so many times every single year where a player tells you he's good, the medical tells you he's good. I mean, I mean, how many times do we, and I'm not saying I agree with it, but Tua coming back and having like 4 freaking concussions and then still end up playing in the same season at some point type of situation when you're like, most fans are like, oh, he's going to be done for his career and things like that. But for this game specifically for Thursday night, and this is where I do think it's a bad look for Kevin O'Connell. And this comes from a guy who, in my opinion, I know there's guys out there, and T-Bass, I'm going to call you out a little bit there, because there's people out there, they just can't wait for something bad to happen with Kevin O'Connell. So because you don't like Kevin O'Connell, so you want every little thing to trash him or whatever, even though he's so well respected, not just from his players, but from the rest of the league in general. And me and you both are usually agree that we think he's a great leader, and he's really made this team into one that believes that they can win a game at any point, even if they're down by a lot. And I think says a lot about Kevin O'Connell's leadership. I think that says a lot about how the players believe in him, and obviously, everything the people from other coaches and things from the outside of the organization says about him. But in this specific one, I think this is the worst show of his leadership. And I've said this before, and that's a big part. I know T-Bass earlier mentioned, oh, you forgot about the Cowboys game, the Eagles game before. You must have not seen that in his first year or whatever. Yeah, those were bad. But this one, with the handling of Carson Wentz mixed with just terrible on offense, terrible on defense, I think it was, and just from a leadership standpoint from Kevin O'Connell, I do think it was really bad, because ultimately, regardless if you have a medical person coming up to you and telling you that Carson Wentz is good, especially if you have the player coming up to you, because most players are going to say, hey, I'm good to go or whatever most of the time, because he has a lot on the line. With Kevin O'Connell, it felt like there was something there, whether it's, I don't want to throw Max Brosmer to the Wolves. I don't want Max Brosmer. These are the conspiracy theories. I don't know if I want Max Brosmer to come in and look so good that we have this quarterback controversy. Like, do I want any of those? I don't know. It felt like there was definitely something there with Kevin O'Connell in the back of his mind where he wanted Wentz to fight through it, even if Wentz shouldn't have. There's a point in this game, and I mentioned it earlier, where Wentz was not looking good. He was looking terrible. Probably one of the worst games he's probably had in his career, which probably is saying something. And maybe that's because of his injury, maybe not. I don't know. So based off just that, you could have argued like maybe it's time to put someone else in instead of Wentz. Like maybe he should have been benched just for that. But then on top of that, injured, obviously, pretty much every time he was getting tackled, he was on the ground wincing. There's a big thing on the sideline where it looked like he might have teared up or whatever over there. And hey, he's a tough SOB. I don't think most of us could do what he just did there on that Thursday night football game. But that being said, like, you as a head coach, like, it's ultimately your decision to take someone out. He wasn't playing well. He obviously injured, and you should have, you should have saved Carson Wentz from himself at the very least if you said he was good to go. And you should have known to pull him out of this game. And I do think Kevin O'Connell generally, I feel like if he would have saw that, I generally think he would take that player out. But I do think in his mind, he really did. He had his own motives as far as I don't want Max Brosmer in there, or I don't know exactly what it is. But I think he was like, if Carson Wentz can make it one more quarter or two more quarters, that benefits what I have in my own head as far as like the future of this team this year. And I think that's ultimately the reason why he's just like, Carson Wentz says he's good, I'm going to keep him out there or whatever. But ultimately, I think it was bad leadership. I think it was a bad move by Kevin O'Connell. I do think this is, in my opinion, the one time where from that kind of standpoint, it was a bad look for Kevin O'Connell. It was bad leadership from Kevin O'Connell. But again, I most of the time it is not like that. And I definitely don't think this is some sort of thing. This is the final straw that Kevin O'Connell to fight. That don't even make.
Well, and for the people that want O'Connell and Kwesi fired, like, I got bad news for you. You're gonna have to wait at least 2 more seasons because they just got those fresh 4-year extensions, and I think this was the last year before those extensions. So,
right.
And normally you're not going to see anybody fire a GM or head unless things like next year. If McCarthy has no development and we completely shit the bed, then maybe it's different.
Right.
But I'd say at least you got this year plus 2 just to see how the quarterback development goes and see what you got there. So sorry to break it to everybody, but I guess at the end, like my thing though, at the end of the day here is, I mean, I think I saw just Kevin Seifert just tweeted about it as well. Like Carson Wentz, medical staff, Kevin O'Connell, whatever. They all knew the risk to Carson Wentz going back out on the field and keep playing. Like they all knew that this could ultimately happen. And I mean, like I think what Seifert just said in his tweet, like basically Carson Wentz just held out as long as he could. But when it got to be too much, that's when he decided, like, okay, I'm done. Like, this is it. And it lined up with JJ McCarthy, which does make it seem a little bit like whatever.
Maybe it didn't. Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
And all the people out there that are just like, oh, so Carson Wentz can play with a dislocated shoulder, like torn labrum, but JJ McCarthy can't play on an ankle and he's jumping on the sidelines avoiding Justin Jefferson. He must be weak. Like, stop. Just stop. Like this, like you said about the people that just automatically hate O'Connell. That's for the people that automatically just don't want McCarthy to be good. Is that they're just like, oh, see, he's faking the ankle injury. It's not that bad. Like, and
let's just be honest here. Of course, Kevin O'Connell is more worried. Of course, he's going to be more worried about the future of and the health.
That's actually what Seifert said in his tweet. He just said, he's like, let's be clear, Carson Wentz sacrificed himself to protect the 2 quarterbacks the Vikings value more in long term. Like, that's it. Like, that's the story. That's exactly it.
That happens all over the league. That is not just a situation for the Vikings or anything. Like, Carson Wentz has more to play with. If Carson Wentz doesn't play, he might never play again. Well,
there's a reason why all these teams that draft a quarterback even have a bridge quarterbacks. Like, you go out there, we're probably not going to be very good, but you go out there and do what you can for 4 games until this guy's ready. Then he'll take over your spot. Like,
right. That happens all the time. Yeah.
Like, not now to this extent where it's injury and it's this obvious.
And I don't agree with what happened.
A little different, but yeah.
I didn't agree with what happened at the end. Again, I do think it was a bad look for Kevin O'Connell. This isn't like some sort of, this is going to be a situation like even with Carson Wentz making it through there, like Carson Wentz is going to be the backup again. So for Carson Wentz, he already knows he's going to be a backup 100%. So what is he going to do? Just spend the rest of the season without getting surgery or anything?
Yeah. Tough it out. Play for your hometown team as long as you could.
Now at the end of the day, it's over now for him. That's over now for him. And that's ultimately the reason why I do think he ends up going and get the surgery. Like, I don't think it was this thing like, hey, we're going to keep pushing you until JJ McCarthy, and then you can go get surgery. I think. And
this is 100% fair. Like, obviously, I mean, look, I know people talk about not wanting to put Max Brosmer out there
the entire game. To be
like,
honest,
if
Brosmer should have started.
Like, I know people talk about like, I understand Carson Wentz starting the game, but as soon as he just showed he wasn't gonna be able to play to his standards, or just things got out of hand, then you should have made the move, and that's where it looks even worse. And then I guess and I just don't figure it's because he thinks Max Brosmer is going to struggle when he gets in there. Because if that's your thought process and he's your quarterback too, then that's a whole nother issue that we have to talk about. I do think it's more of I do think it's the thing of like they trust he'd play well, but also not wanting to throw him to the wolves in a game where you're going to be dropping back to pass a lot, and your stud left tackle just went out. And that's another thing you talk about the medical staff, like Darisaw coming in and out of games, like, and I don't want to sound bad on Darisaw, but in and out of games as he pleases, almost like making it good on him for giving it a go. And I think he even said it today, like, I got back on the field much earlier than anticipated, and yeah, I got to manage the injury because it's a multi-ligament tear, and I'm working my way back. But it's just the medical staff thing does just seem a little bit odd. How nothing really just seems like, I don't know. It's like when it's like he's in, then he gets dinged up, he's out. O'Neal comes in with a right knee injury, then leaves with a left knee injury, and then you got like the Van Ginkel thing that's just weird. So I don't know. The training staff to me is something that I'm just kind of scratching my head about, and I have kind of since they've been here too.
Yeah, they should have that. I don't know how he cleared towards the end of the game from the medical side of things, but yeah, just the whole thing was messed up.
Yeah, and I think, and the thing that they all just knew that eventually surgery is going to be needed. That's what makes me feel a little bit like if they just, if Carson Wentz was left in the dark about how bad it was or whatever, which obviously would never happen. No. But I just think like the thing that should give Vikings fans a little bit a feeling of comfort is Carson Wentz knew what he was playing with, and he knew if he kept taking hits. And again, that's why it's the big thing. Like, yes, eventually the coach does need to step in and just be like, no, I can't watch you go through this anymore. But also, in O'Connell's mind, it's probably like, we're in the third quarter, just get to the end of the game.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not the right way to go about it.
No. I think that's what Kevin O'Connell was, because I think Kevin O'Connell, I think he was kicking his moral can down the road, or rocks down the road, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, he's kicking his, like, he had his thing in his head. He's like, Carson, he just wanted, if Carson can just make it through this game, that is better for my plan, or whatever that is. And whatever that plan is, that's what it kind of felt like to me, because it just made no sense to keep him out in that game whatsoever. So yeah, obviously, because that was a beatdown just all around for Carson Wentz. And, he was injured, and who knows, and he had his worst games against the Eagles and the Chargers, and maybe a lot of that was because of his injury. But in general, Carson Wentz was anything too special. And then I guess we can continue moving here, because I think we've hit a lot on that. What's going on? Young Smokey in the building. What's going on, dude? T-Bass, did you leave? He must have. Were you mad that? I mean, I still put it on Kevin O'Connell a little bit. Can't leave T-Bass. We haven't heard you since we talked about it.
Yeah.
I wanted the conversation.
But at the end of the day, we'll save that for the end, because that's the last topic when it comes to what at the court, like the quarterback thing. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's a story, it's a blip, it's a story. Kevin O'Connell will be asked about it at his Wednesday presser, and then it's all just kind of fade into the background and basically just shift to JJ McCarthy and his development.
Yeah, and that's what it is. So that's one thing. Is there is no more Carson Wentz this season. It is kind of the Max Brosmer, probably JJ McCarthy show. If he gets injured again, I think you would see Max Brosmer. I mean,
don't hit me with that Desmond Ridder stuff. Like he'll probably be your emergency third quarterback to probably bring him back.
Is he still on the team? Technically,
no, he's a free agent still.
Yeah. So I'm assuming we're gonna pick somebody up for sure, though. But yeah, at this point, I'm like, it's got to be JJ McCarthy, Max Brosmer, if that doesn't work out or whatever, going forward, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. That we can talk a little bit more about that in a little bit here.
Yeah, we'll hit the rumor mill a little bit before we get into JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, which we already kind of on the rumor mill of why Kevin O'Connell didn't take him out, and that's up for speculation. We're never gonna find it out. It would be interesting, and like Casey said, I do think it's really fair to let Kevin O'Connell speak on this whole situation on top of all of that. But unfortunately, for a lot of people who don't like Kevin O'Connell and all those things, I do think this will probably go, like, this is going to be something that probably won't last very long. I don't think people will continue bringing up this situation. Maybe if JJ McCarthy is really bad and Max Brosmer is really bad, I don't know. Or if there continues being like a bunch of random injury things going on here. But yeah, back to regular football situations. What's going on? The real Sir D, our guy, Will the Thrill. Speaking of that, Will Thrill officially missed his first kick in the last game.
In a scramble scenario, but
he's still scramble scenario. I mean, if there's a kick, a 53 yarder in that situation would be tough. Hit the ground. The accuracy was great, actually. Still, just was not long enough. but it's all good. It's all good. I promise you, Kevin O'Connell will never ever say that you should have took Carson Wentz out. He doesn't seem like the type of person that would admit anything. That's actually so crazy to me, T-Bass. Like Kevin O'Connell seems. I don't know what to say.
He's the master of coach speak for sure. He does a lot of coach speak.
He does a lot of coach
But
speak.
He's also accountable.
Well, he's very accountable. That's why I'm like he's extremely. I've not seen a head coach as accountable as Kevin O'Connell has been. It's kind of even his accountability, I guess you can say, is kind of like coach speech, I guess a little bit.
Yeah.
But he does like every time it comes out. Oh, it all starts with me. I'm the head coach. Da da da. He does all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't get T-Bat. I don't get how you see who you see in Kevin O'Connell, because he does. You can call him a lot of things, but I don't get how you see that kind of stuff out of him. Which is interesting to me. But anyways, regular football, obviously the Carson Wentz thing is a big thing. Moving on from that, unless JJ McCarthy sucks and then Max Brosmer sucks, or however that goes, and JJ, then I'm sure we'll talk about this again. But hopefully JJ McCarthy comes up, and if I was other Viking fans, I would probably also hope that JJ McCarthy comes out and looks good.
We should, and if you don't, you literally would just whatever Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell do, you just don't want to work out because you want them gone so bad. And I don't know. I don't have any words for you if that's the case, because that's just something you got to work through on your own. But
yeah, I don't know why you'd want that. But so hopefully JJ McCarthy
having to hate everything that you're watching. Just
hopefully JJ McCarthy comes in and makes this and kind of helps create that spark. Like there is like room for a spark to happen.
I guess Darren wasn't. At the end of the day, Darren, we disagree. We think, yes, I mean, what happened on Thursday night is, yeah, you can't do that. You got to protect the player from himself. But at the end of the day, I mean, we've seen players play through injury before. I don't think they were forcing him to do anything. I think Carson Wentz knew what the risks were, and they all went along with it. But yes, at the end of the day, Kevin O'Connell on Thursday should have pulled the plug way faster than he did.
Yeah, he definitely should. That was not Kevin O'Connell that night. I'm definitely not on team like it just destroys everything about him. That's kind of crazy. I don't think like the medical staff said it was like the medical staff said he was good. Carson Wentz said he was good. I think he should. I think Kevin O'Connell should still pulled him out. But at the same time, I'm like those are the two people that you need to. If the medical and Carson Wentz tell you they're good, then
Kevin O'Connell has always been.
No.
He always has been one to defer to the medical staff on a lot of things too.
Yeah.
He's not a doctor. He's a coach. Coach, two totally different things.
And yeah, definitely. And Wentz did it to himself. I mean, Wentz continue to play. I would say it's Kevin O'Connell's job to make sure he doesn't get in his own way as well. And of course, Wentz is going to want to try to go out there. So I think that part's on Kevin O'Connell at the end there, specifically the Thursday game. The other games, he was cleared. I mean, the amount of times a medical person clears a player and then that player ends up playing is pretty much almost all the time that happens.
And I wouldn't even say like signature win. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, win the playoffs. That's your main gripe. He doesn't win the playoffs. But I mean, the fact that he's led this team to 2 13+ win seasons in his first full 3 seasons is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, extremely.
Yes, the way they've done it hasn't always been pretty, but this team has grit and fights till the end, and that's a big thing when it comes to building a roster.
And you can argue
you've done it with multiple quarterbacks.
And you can argue that being behind is a bad thing, but I mean, I don't know. The greatest comeback in NFL history is kind of a signature win. I don't care what you say. If you're the coach at the greatest comeback in NFL history,
that did win the division. That won them the division that year. That was the game.
The Buffalo game. That Buffalo game, like, come on, dude. Tell me that ain't. So obviously we want to see some playoff wins, but I would still say. Yeah, I would say in the Buffalo, in my opinion, I would say the Bills game was probably, and that says a lot because it was the greatest comeback in history with the Colts game. But that Bills game was incredible. Yeah. So that's the thing. I mean, dude, Kevin O'Connell has done some stuff. Like you got to be reaching to act like Kevin O'Connell is like 13 wins in 2 seasons. Like I don't know.
Yeah, two iterations of one shit defense with Donatel and one good defense with Flores last year. With multiple different quarterbacks, like it's pretty impressive what he's done so far. Now, yes, at the end of the day, you're here to win playoff games and championships. Yes, that does need to happen. But there's a reason he's the reigning coach of the year.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
year we're not seeing it as much due to, again, myriad of reasons, but yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think.
Anyway,
Well, speaking of Kevin
I don't know.
O'Connell,
TJ Hockenson.
Kevin O'Connell, Quasi, no one's mentioned his name, which actually is really surprising. I thought we'd get at least one. Quasi doesn't get. Actually, that was my boy's Mafia. That was the text that he sent me about Quasi missing draft picks. But one guy that we traded for, and that's TJ Hockenson. And there's been rumors, and I don't know if they're true or not, but there's been rumors that the Vikings are looking to trade TJ Hockenson, or other teams are calling for a trade for TJ Hockenson. Casey, what is your thoughts on TJ Hockenson? And
look, yeah, I've tried defending Hockenson for as long as I could. I mean, I drafted him this year in hopes that the JJ to Hawk connection would be huge, and who knows, maybe it will be when he gets back. But this did come up. I mean, the rumors are that the Broncos and the Rams had reached out. Someone had floated the idea of a 3rd-round pick. So, I mean, if you were to trade him, and who knows, I mean, this is just if you trade him just get rid of him. And I'm sure you can work it out differently when you make the trade, depending on how the money's gonna break out. So basically, if you cut him or trade him just as it is, you save $8 million, it's about $12 million dead on the cap. And look, honestly, 2022 came in here after the trade looked good, really good actually. Then the next year comes in before the injury, was having a stellar year. I think he had in the first 15 games, I think he had like 960 yards and 5 scores. Then the injury happens. Then he comes back from the injury last year, underperforms after the injury. This year, we haven't seen enough from him, right? I mean, doesn't have a touchdown, should have had a touchdown, but doesn't have a touchdown yet this year. And the contract, no more guaranteed money. So yeah, I think if a team does come calling and they're willing to offer you something, I mean, I don't think a 3rd-round pick happens, but I mean, if they're willing to take a big chunk of that contract off your hands and maybe you end up getting a 4th, 5th-round pick, I think you really have to consider it. I mean, we just haven't seen enough from him to make him worth the money he's getting. Plus, now, like I said, with no more guaranteed money, you're probably looking at some sort of a restructure, maybe another extension. And I just don't know if he's deserved another extension with more guaranteed money at this point. And again, who knows? If we don't trade him, JJ comes back, fine. Maybe we're going to be good. But at that point, we don't really know. You can't be giving me this whole thing about Zimmer being a better coach than Kevin O'Connell, because that's dead. There's no chance. Like, come on now. Modern day football, that's why Zimmer's not coaching anymore. Modern day football, Zimmer fails. I don't know. I just don't. I mean, every time you always go back to O'Connell's not stern enough. Well, Mike Zimmer, again, there's a reason he's not a head coach again. I'm done with the whole Mike Zimmer thing.
I want to see Kevin O'Connell win a playoff game, but it's just not that. I mean, he's done so many things that's good. I don't know. It's crazy to me. I think in one playoff game it ain't good enough. Like, I don't care if he goes and wins the first round of playoffs. It doesn't it doesn't automatically mean like, oh, that's a signature win right there. That's different than going to like the NFC Championship and winning there. That's a signature win. Going to the Super Bowl, that's like a signature win. Like, getting to playoffs and winning one game, I get it. I want to see Kevin O'Connell do it, but that's not that special. Like, winning one playoff game ain't that crazy. That's not the difference between, I don't know. I just disagree when it comes with that. But T-Bass, we already know you definitely want him to go, but I don't know. I disagree. When it comes to TJ Hockenson, I'm with you. I mean, we haven't seen enough from him. We're seeing all these we're seeing all these young tight ends getting drafted and looking good. We got absolutely smoked, specifically in the first half by Gatson. And I don't know, what round was he drafted in?
I don't even. Didn't they say he was a 5th-round pick? I think. Was
he 5th round? Because I mean, you got him. You got what is it, Fanagan or whatever? What's the kid from the Browns?
Fannin.
That's what it is. Fannin. Obviously, TJ Warren stepping up big time. Loveland hasn't really seen much yet. I don't know. So it's like one of those things where I do think like you could go into next year's draft and replace TJ Hockenson, and TJ Hockenson hasn't showed a lot. Oh, that's what I wanted to do here. And just, I better read this too. And I will defend Hawk in this sense. The offensive line has been terrible. He's been asked to chip block more, which led to his production going down. Granted, he has declined, which I definitely think is fair. On top of that, I think the parts for me, it's just, there's been multiple times where it just seems like he's just, I don't know, like, I mean, that viral video, and obviously that's just one play, but that viral video of his route or whatever was just insane. I just don't get what was going on there. We haven't seen a ton from him. I would be worried. I don't necessarily think we have a better tight end on this roster in the passing game. I don't think that. And I do think losing TJ Hockenson at this point of the season would not be good for the development of JJ McCarthy, of having TJ Hockenson say. I think that would not be good. But I also think TJ Hockenson, the amount of money we pay him compared to like what he's producing, if someone came to you with a trade that you can't refuse, and I definitely think a third rounder would be that for me. I feel like you'd have to just pull the trigger because it just makes too much financial sense, and as well as just a draft.
But like, the thing that I don't understand, is like the whole thing where people kind of like they're talking about Vikings being sellers at the trade deadline. Like, again, this season, we talked about before the season, like we thought we could be competitive with JJ McCarthy. Obviously, things haven't gone according to plan, which I get it. It's the NFL, right? But at the end of the day, like, this team was built for the next 3 seasons, right? There's a reason that Hargrave, or I think Hargrave might have 1 year deal. There's a reason that Allen was a 2-year contract, right? There's a reason that that you have that you add an extra year onto Van Ginkel's contract. There's a reason that you brought in Will Fries for 5 years. There's a reason that like you're making these moves for a reason, right? So I just don't think if we struggle this year, like if we won't win another game, I don't think we're going to be sellers, because I think the big thing is the development of JJ McCarthy, and I think you need after the trade deadline to see how that plays out. So, I don't know. I just don't. The whole idea that this team needs to be sellers, I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense with the again. This season wasn't an all-in proposition.
No. If you think we're going to be sellers, I don't know if anybody in here thinks that, but if you think we should be sellers, then you have not been paying attention at all to everything in the whole plan or whatever. Even if you think we're so bad, that we should be selling and that we should be just rebuilding, like a total rebuild. If you think that, you should, or even if you did think that, you should still understand that doesn't make any sense with the plan that is in place, and knowing that whether you agree with it or not, that Kwesi is not going to do that. Everything is about the development. And I said this, we've said this since Carson Wentz stepped in this game, even after the Cincinnati Bengals game, when everybody was kind of riding Carson Wentz. We never went away from the fact that it makes zero sense to not, it does not make any sense to not let JJ McCarthy develop this year. Everything was based around that. The whole plan with Kwesi and the front office is to let JJ McCarthy develop this year and then do our best to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years.
For sure. Yeah. I guess that can bring us right into, JJ McCarthy. I mean, basically at this point, unquestioned starter going into Detroit. And this is really, I mean, honestly, this is kind of where part 2 of the season actually begins, right? I mean, I think at the end of the day, I mean, this season, as we talked about, coming into it was all about the development of JJ McCarthy. And after what happened these last couple games, after the Wentz injury, like it's 100% on that now. And you hope maybe Darisaw getting the extra rest, missing the second half, 10 days, he can be back. Brian O'Neill. I mean, he played 2 weeks after his injury, and it was the other knee that was giving him issues, not the right one that he ended up spraining his MCL on. But the hope is you got your bookend tackles. The interior offensive line is going to be good to go. Brando/Jurgens, whoever they decide to put out there at center. And 2 running backs. Both your running backs are healthy. And if you decide to keep TJ Hockenson, like this is kind of where the season actually starts here. And the rest of this, look, I mean, I know if we lose, there's going to be a bunch of fans out there that are going to be so disappointed if we only win like 2 or 3 more games. But to me, if we win 2 more games this year and JJ McCarthy looks good throughout this, keeps developing throughout the season, I will be a happy camper by the time the season's all said and done. Because yes, I know the doom and gloomers, the national media, the fans that just want to see the world burn, like they're going to be the ones that are going to be all bad season. People are on the hot seat going into next year. But at the end of the day, like Kwesi's going to look good if McCarthy starts looking good. You know what I mean? So
Kwesi's good. Kwesi, Kevin O'Connell, all of them. I would say it has been a still disappointment that we're not seeing a lot from Hargrave and Allen, and just like the free agent moves that we made last year have not come to fruition so far, and that is kind of a disappointment going into these next couple of years. But a positive thing is, the biggest thing is your quarterback, and if JJ McCarthy looks good by the end of the season, and as at least for a majority of the fans feel confident of him going into the next season. You are going into this offseason with a lot more picks than we've had before as far as the draft goes. Obviously,
you can't draft.
Yeah, you're going to hear that stuff too. But hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully it's on a couple of them or whatever. So that's the biggest thing. That's been the biggest thing. And obviously, our whole thing was like, even way during the offseason, it was like, this season's about developing JJ McCarthy. And if we make it into playoffs in his rookie, basically what is his rookie season, if we make it into playoffs this year as he develops, that would be a huge win.
Right,
that was that was where we were at. Like, we wasn't even like, we need to make playoffs this year. It was like, JJ McCarthy needs to develop, and which I to this day I still think that is a possibility, but we've only seen a couple games from McCarthy, so we'll see more of him and figure out. I mean, within the first 3 games with JJ McCarthy in there, I think we'll have a much better idea of what this might look like. But still,
yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is, I mean, it's an interesting statement. I mean, there is a lot of pressure, and just not from just having to prove you can develop, but I mean, what the media is going to put out there, and they have, is, I mean, I think I saw this on, was it NFL Live or something, where basically it's like, right now he's got that weight on his shoulders that the elite, like the team let Daniel Jones go, look what he's doing. The team let Sam Darnold go, look what he's doing. Now it's like it's up to JJ McCarthy that he's got to prove the coaching staff and the front office right. So there is pressure in that way, and I get that. But again, the whole thing of, guess what? We can't bring Darnold back. We can't bring Daniel Jones back. They're gone. This is the future. And if it sucks the next 3 years, guess what? You get what you want, T-Bass. They fire everybody. Maybe they burn down US Bank Stadium, build the new one down the street. TCO Performance Center, they pull that up, move back to wherever they were at before, and they start over with a new head coach, and they probably bring in a veteran quarterback that you want who can lead us to a playoff win. So at the end of the day, none of that stuff matters anymore. What does matter is JJ McCarthy's the guy we're riding with, and we got to see how he develops. That's all it matters. That's all that matters right now. Like, none of the other stuff, the pressure from what Darnold and Daniel Jones are doing, I don't give a fuck about that, because that doesn't matter anymore. Like, yeah, 5 years down the road, McCarthy sucks. Yeah, you made a mistake. Big whoop. You start over. It happens in the NFL all the time, and that's where we're at. Like, that's the point of the season that we're at right now. What Darnold and Jones are doing doesn't matter, because that stuff's gone. They're gone. That's really all it is.
T-Baz, this is something we agree on. Too many Viking fans are scared of losing seasons. It's too comfortable with the mantle of winning. Yeah, exactly. That's literally our whole point, is all the Viking fans, like half the Viking fans, want to throw everything away, developing a quarterback just because they want to win this season, even if that means without, like, they don't care. Like, it's about winning and not winning a Super Bowl. And for a team without a Super Bowl, you have to sacrifice regular season. You might have to sacrifice regular season games and even maybe an entire year to develop players and things like that to so that way, like, the following years can be better. And that's literally the whole point.
Yeah. So that does kind of, in a way, prove our point of what we were trying to say.
Yeah. I can take a growth if we eventually have to. Yeah. That's what this is. That's the plan. That is the plan. Whether you like it or not, that has been the plan. It is the plan. It's always been the plan, was to develop JJ McCarthy. This year wasn't about winning a Super Bowl. It never was. It was about to develop JJ McCarthy. It wasn't about winning playoff games so much. Obviously, that'd be beneficial if we did. But it was all about JJ McCarthy and making sure this team is ready for the next 2 years. And we have a lot to find out to see if we're on pace for that. But that's what it was. And so that's like, if you're a fan, most fans, like, are you willing to sacrifice this year to not win games so that way you can contend in the next 2 years? Like,
and all the things too about
say, like, yes, and in the moment of the season, they're like, no, we need to win games. Like, why would you not want to try to win? Why would you never not try to win? That makes no sense. I don't know.
Right. And then you got all the people too that are like, I mean, I think Dan Patrick talked about it on his show today too. Like, at what point does Justin Jefferson demand a trade? Like, look, when he signed that contract, I mean, no shit, Justin Jefferson wants to win football games, right? He's the ultimate competitor, one of the best at his position. So yes, he wants to play well and he wants to win. I get that. But when he signed that contract, I think he kind of knew, like, hey, like, we might have a step back here. It might happen. But I mean, from what he's seen from McCarthy, like, he has to know whether or not he thinks he's got it. And
and even this,
it's just,
bro, never locked in ever since the preseason. It does kind of feel like Yeah, I'm with you on that, T-Bass. I'm
Yes,
definitely
please.
that.
Even though it is Canada,
It does feel like this
I apologize
season's
to any
just been
Canadians.
weird on all fronts. Kind of. I mean, the injuries. I start with that. I do think all of that made things feel off. JJ McCarthy getting injured, having that bad game, da 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 da. But back to JJ McCarthy, and this is JJ McCarthy expectations, and this is very unfair expectations for someone like him. But he knows that. And that is like not is like the rest of the season kind of based on JJ McCarthy. It's just like even that spark. That's like one thing, at least in my opinion. I think if there's one player, one person, one anything that can not just turn this season around, um, not even just for the players, but the fans, but even just for like the just for the morale of the team, it is JJ McCarthy and him coming in and helping. Like we've seen, like even like that, the end of the Bears game was pure vibes. There was no, you can't say that no people weren't into it at the end of that game. That game, JJ McCarthy brought that spark and made people believe. And obviously things turned around quickly. We've seen how that goes. And I do think JJ McCarthy could come back, and he's the one guy to make that happen again. I don't know if he's going to, but if someone's going, there is like this. That's why I'm like, this season's not over. JJ McCarthy could come in here and look good to whatever extent, or do enough, win some games, whatever it is, and can bring that spark to this team, to make the morale of the players, the fans. Hopefully, I don't know. There's always gonna be haters, but even the morale of the players. This has just been a weird season. I think, and I am kind of on the team where I do think that there probably is some weird stuff going in the locker room a little bit.
But I mean, but at the same time, like when you like to build a team, we've been through a lot of adversity. But like your young quarterback has been hit with a ton of adversity for 2 years, and now he's kind of seeing all this other stuff going on. So you want to talk about adversity, building some toughness? Like there's a ton of adversity going on in that building right now.
Right.
And that's a big thing. All that matters is how they fight through it, and they're going to have to if they want to go anywhere. And if they want McCarthy to develop, is going to have to. You're going to have to put all the noise away and just move forward.
Yeah,
he hasn't played in a month and a half. Okay, which point?
Yeah, like I think that's very fair as far as like you can't expect him to come in and look really good. And I do think that the expectations need to be low on him a little bit. But at the end of the day, like we gotta hope that he looks at least somewhat good.
Yeah,
like what we saw in the end of the Bears game. Like that's what we need to see. And maybe it's unfair for him to do that. I'm just saying that's what probably needs to be done if we want to have that spark in this season. And I do think JJ McCarthy could do it. You can say a month and a half. You can say all you want about him, but you're still talking about the guy who's like regardless of whatever he looks like moving forward, da da da. And the whole winter thing, like he's played 2 games. In one of them, he came back and had literally the biggest comeback in NFL history for the first time starter at quarterback ever. So I'm like, that's like, and he came from a background of being known as a winner and all those kinds of things. And I'm like, if that type of mentality, like that's in him, it obviously is. He's already shown it in the NFL in one of 2 games he was in, even if you really did not like the second game he was in.
Yeah.
To win a Super Bowl so I can but wait, I really want to see the Vikings win a Super Bowl so I can stop watching this crap the NFL puts out. But until then, I have to keep watching and hoping. Anti-Bass, you gotta hope. The first place you should start is to hope that JJ McCarthy is an ass. That's like the first place you should start. And maybe he is ass, but I wouldn't just want him to be.
Yeah.
Because either way, if he's an ass, then we are a lot further than a Super Bowl than we want.
Yeah, then again, at that point, things probably blow up. You trade Jefferson for 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
And you go from there. But, I mean, at the end of the day, though, we're 3-4. The sky's not completely fallen yet. I mean, yeah, there's a lot going on that just it's not great right now. But again, a little bit of winning covers up a lot of this. And especially, I mean, the big thing is McCarthy comes out and just looks halfway decent. I think a lot of Vikings fans are going to feel a lot better after Sunday.
Yeah. And the only 2 seasons that I would say that they were legit contenders and not pretenders in my lifetime was 98 and 2009. Yeah. Like even 2017 was great, but I mean, at the end of the day, you had Case Keenum or whatever.
You knew eventually what happened was going to happen.
Yeah, but those 2009 and 98 was like legit contenders. That just was obviously we all know was tough, but like legit, like that's what we were always saying. Like I want to for this Vikings team, I want to 100% feel like I think this team is the best in the NFL. Like even last year with Sam Darnold, it was like, hey, we're doing really good, but I'm like, are we really the best team in the NFL? No. Is it Sam Darnold make us the best team in his contract, make us the best team in the NFL? It doesn't. That's why you have to roll the dice on JJ McCarthy.
But last year, T-Bass, I do remember you saying expectations changed throughout the season. So yeah, expectations have changed. Like, yeah, it started off ugly, a lot of injuries, probably not Super Bowl contenders anymore, but now it's all about developing your quarterback. So yeah, for sure, there were a lot of players saying that, or people saying like, hey, this team could be pretty good with JJ McCarthy, maybe make a run in the playoffs. But like you said last year, and you reminded us constantly, expectations change.
Yeah, and but we weren't in that camp of thinking that. I never was in the camp that thinking, even though we made a whole video on it, but I never was actually in the camp of thinking that the Vikings were going to be by Super Bowl contenders. I mean, I think they're the best team in the NFL this year. And you'd be kind of ignorant to go in this with a first-year quarterback and thinking that your team is the best team in the NFL. What I did think, though, is I felt like we could be the best team in the NFL next year and the year after, which there's a lot to be shown before, we believe that 100%.
For sure. Jefferson's more word. Okay. All right. Now the Jefferson hate is starting, and that's just.
T-Bass, do you like anybody on this team? I forgot. Or Ty Felton. That was like the one guy I've heard that you've liked, and he hasn't touched the field once.
I don't know. The Jefferson hate is ridiculous because I can't say the other word. Yeah. Anything else on your end?
No, I got.
Oh, your camera's dead. Your phone's dead, huh? But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining. We will be back on Thursday. Looking forward to the Detroit game. JJ McCarthy's first starts since week 2. So make sure to join us then. 8 p.m. again, Jamie?
7:30.
7:30 Central Time. Be there. See you guys then.
SKOL Vikes.